What if I told you that the greatest power you could ever possess isn't physical strength, wealth, or even intelligence, but the ability to remain completely unfazed when the world tries to break you? Think about it. How many times have your emotions dictated your decisions, your reactions, or even your peace of mind? Someone insults you and your chest burns. Someone rejects you and you feel that sting of inadequacy. Someone ignores you and suddenly your confidence starts to fade. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet, invisible control others have over your emotions. But what if you could take that power back, permanently? Niccolò Machiavelli, the father of dark psychology and one of history's most misunderstood strategists, believed that emotional control was the foundation of dominance. He understood a brutal truth: those who can be easily offended can be easily controlled. In his world, weakness was never forgiven, and feelings were a luxury only fools could afford. And yet centuries later, that same principle governs modern life. We live in an age of outrage where everyone reacts, everyone complains, and everyone exposes their emotions for the world to manipulate. But the few who learn to detach, to think, not react, those are the ones who rise above the noise. Have you ever wondered why some people seem completely untouchable? Why insults slide off them like water on stone? It's not because they feel nothing. It's because they've learned to master the art of emotional sovereignty. They've built what Machiavelli would call an inner fortress, a mind that cannot be invaded by the opinions or actions of others. They understand that power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. The truth is, the world is constantly testing you. Every betrayal, every rejection, every disappointment, it's all a psychological war. And the moment you react emotionally, you lose ground. That's why the most dangerous people in history weren't the loud ones, the violent ones, or even the ones with armies behind them. They were the calm ones, the calculating ones, the ones who could look chaos in the eye and stay perfectly still. What you're about to discover is not comfort. It's not easy advice or self-help slogans. It's dark psychology, the kind that strips away illusions and reveals how emotional power truly works. Once you understand it, you'll stop chasing validation, stop fearing rejection, and stop letting anyone dictate how you feel. Fewer things will hurt you, until nothing will. So stay with me until the end, because what comes next may challenge everything you've been taught about strength, emotion, and control. Machiavelli's dark lessons will show you a path to emotional invincibility. But first, you need to understand why emotions have always been the most dangerous weapon of all. Maybe, as you listen to this, a memory surfaces, a moment when someone's words pierced deeper than they should have, or when you felt powerless against your own emotions. We've all been there. That silent frustration, that burning desire to not care, yet somehow still being affected. It's a human experience, but it's also the first battlefield of power. The moment you recognize it, you begin to reclaim control. If this idea resonates with you, if you've ever wondered why certain people seem immune to emotional chaos while others are easily shaken, take a second to share your thoughts below. Tell me, have you ever felt that pull between what you feel and what you wish you could control? Your story might help someone else realize they're not alone in this struggle for emotional mastery. And if this message is making you think differently, if it's opening your eyes to a new kind of strength, then make sure to like this video. It's a small action, but it tells the algorithm that this kind of content matters, that the search for deeper understanding and self-mastery is worth spreading. When you engage, you help this message reach others who are fighting their own silent battles. And if you're new here, or if you've been watching quietly from the shadows, consider subscribing. This channel exists for thinkers, for those who want to understand the darker layers of psychology, philosophy, and power. Every week, we go deeper into the minds of people like Machiavelli, Jung, and Nietzsche, not to glorify darkness, but to understand it, to master it, and to turn it into strength. Your presence here fuels that mission, because this isn't just another channel. It's a growing circle of minds who refuse to be ruled by their emotions or manipulated by appearances. The more we expand this space, the more voices like yours help shape it into something greater. So leave your comment, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't yet. It's not just support, it's participation in a movement of inner power and strategic awareness. And now, as we go further, let's uncover the first Machiavellian principle that will change how you see every emotional reaction you've ever had. Most people think emotions are meant to be freely expressed, as if honesty means exposing every reaction that rises inside of you. But Machiavelli saw the world differently. He observed that emotion, when left unchecked, becomes the perfect weapon, just not in your hands. Every sigh, every angry glare, every visible trace of disappointment tells others exactly where to strike next time. To him, vulnerability wasn't about tears or weakness. It was about predictability. Once someone can read your emotions, they can predict your behavior, and once they can predict you, they can control you. Think about the last time you lost your temper or reacted too quickly. Maybe it felt good for a moment, like releasing pressure from a boiling pot, but almost immediately after, there's regret. You revealed your hand, showed your limits, gave away a piece of power that can't easily be reclaimed. That's the hidden cost of emotional transparency. It makes your inner world public property. People learn your triggers, your fears, your pressure points, and once they do, they can play you like a game. Machiavelli believed that power doesn't belong to the loud, but to the composed, to those who can absorb provocation and remain unshaken. That's because silence creates mystery, and mystery breeds influence. When people don't know what you're thinking, they can't prepare for what you'll do next. You become the storm they can sense but can't predict. And that sense of unpredictability makes them cautious. It makes them respect you. But let's be clear, emotional control isn't about becoming cold or heartless. It's about transforming emotion into a tool rather than a trap. There's a difference between suppression and mastery. Suppression is when you bury emotion so deep it poisons you from within. Mastery is when you recognize it, understand it, and then decide how and when to express it with precision. That's the essence of strategy, directing your internal energy toward outcomes that serve your power, not destroy it. If you observe the patterns of manipulation in human behavior, you'll notice that emotional exposure is always the first step toward defeat. In relationships, in business, in politics, it's the same story. The one who reacts first loses control. The one who pauses, analyzes, and responds with intent owns the game. That's why Machiavelli warned rulers to appear merciful, but act with calculation. Not because compassion was wrong, but because visible emotion made them vulnerable to those who would exploit it. Now I want to go even deeper into this idea, because this truth doesn't only belong to kings and princes, it belongs to anyone walking through life surrounded by subtle forms of control. Look around you: social pressure, emotional blackmail, guilt, validation seeking. It's all rooted in emotional predictability. Society teaches you to be open, expressive, authentic, but rarely to be disciplined with your emotional energy. And that's how the world gains access to your buttons. Emotional control is the invisible armor of the modern age. It's what separates those who react from those who rule. The world might call it stoicism, detachment, or mental toughness, but at its core it's the art of not giving your power away. And here's the paradox. When you stop showing emotion so freely, people often misinterpret it as indifference. They might say, "You've changed," that you've grown distant. But what's really happening is transformation. You're evolving from someone who feels everything instantly into someone who chooses what's worth feeling. That's not distance, it's discernment. In the hidden architecture of human behavior, every emotional response creates a ripple. The question is, who decides where that ripple goes? You or the person who provoked it? Once you start observing this dynamic, you begin to see how much of your life has been unconsciously influenced by emotion. That realization alone is liberating, because once you see it, you can no longer be played the same way again. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because understanding how to protect your emotions is only the first layer. There's a darker, more revealing truth about what happens when you detach completely, and how that changes the way people perceive your power, your mind, and your very presence. Comment below with the phrase emotional mastery if this resonates with you. Most people misunderstand detachment. They hear the word and imagine emptiness, a cold heart, a lifeless stare, a lack of care. But that's not what true detachment means. Detachment is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of emotion. It's standing in the middle of the storm and realizing that the chaos doesn't belong to you. It's watching your anger rise without becoming it, watching fear appear without obeying it. When Machiavelli spoke about power, he wasn't just talking about politics. He was talking about psychological warfare. And in that war, the one who feels less is not the strongest, but the one who reacts last. In modern psychology, this principle is mirrored through the concept of emotional regulation, the ability to observe your internal reactions without impulsively acting on them. It's the difference between awareness and identification. When you identify with your emotions, they define you. But when you observe them, they serve you. Detachment is that space between stimulus and response, the silent pause where clarity lives. And in that space, you regain your authority. Think of the last time someone tried to provoke you. A subtle insult, a tone, a betrayal disguised as honesty. Your body reacts instantly. A rush of heat, tightened chest, faster heartbeat. That's biology. But what you do next, that's power. Most people rush to defend themselves, to prove their worth, to strike back. Detachment teaches you the opposite. You don't need to answer every attack. Sometimes the greatest strength is restraint. The less you react, the more their intentions reveal themselves. People expose who they are when they realize they can't control how you feel. Machiavelli would say, "Control your face and you control the game." The calm, detached mind sees patterns others can't. It's not that detached people don't care, it's that they've learned the cost of reacting. They know every reaction spends emotional energy, and emotional energy is currency. Waste it on anger, and you'll have nothing left for vision. Spend it on resentment, and you'll lose focus on strategy. Detachment is preservation, the art of conserving energy for what truly matters. This mental clarity also allows you to see through illusion. When you stop reacting, you start observing. You begin to notice how people use emotion as a tool: guilt, flattery, pity, fear. You see how easily most are led by emotional manipulation, and how rare it is to meet someone who simply watches quietly without taking the bait. That's the psychology of detachment, an internal silence so powerful it exposes every mask around you. But detachment doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean cutting yourself off from love, joy, or connection. It means understanding that you can experience those things without losing yourself in them. You can love deeply and still think clearly. You can feel pain and still make rational decisions. The world will tell you that you must choose between sensitivity and strength, but Machiavelli and modern psychology prove otherwise. Real strength is integrating both. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because once you master detachment, something extraordinary begins to happen. People start to feel your presence differently. They can't read you, they can't predict you. And in that silence, in that composure, a new kind of influence is born, one that doesn't demand attention, but commands it. Comment below with the word detachment if this message resonates with your journey. Machiavelli understood something that most people never realize. The world doesn't respond to truth, it responds to perception. What people believe about you matters far more than what's actually true about you. And that belief is shaped not by your words, but by your emotional presentation. Every reaction you show, every silence you hold, every expression you reveal, they all build a story in the minds of others. In that sense, perception is not just power, it's a form of psychological currency. Those who master it don't need to argue, justify, or prove. They simply exist in control, and control becomes their language. When you master your emotions, you start to manipulate the lens through which others see you. Your calm presence communicates something words never could: confidence, certainty, and authority. In a world where everyone is shouting to be seen, silence becomes magnetic. People project their own interpretations onto your stillness. Some will admire it, others will fear it, but either way they will feel it. Machiavelli would say that this is how real power operates, not through domination, but through perception. Think about this. When someone stays composed under pressure, the human mind automatically assigns them strength. We're wired to respect those who don't panic when things go wrong. That's why your composure, your ability to remain still while others fall apart, becomes your invisible weapon. It signals self-control, and self-control is the foundation of influence. People may not consciously understand it, but subconsciously they follow stability. They trust the one who seems to know what they're doing, even when they don't say a word. And here's where Machiavelli's dark wisdom meets modern psychology again. Perception control is a form of emotional leadership. When you remain calm, you regulate not only your own state, but also the emotional state of everyone around you. Your energy dictates the atmosphere. If you walk into chaos with serenity, chaos begins to adjust to you. This is why powerful individuals seem to command a room without speaking. Their inner stillness becomes contagious. It bends the emotional temperature of others. But make no mistake, this isn't manipulation in the shallow sense. It's influence through discipline. You can't control how people feel about you directly, but you can control the signals you send. The posture, tone, silence, and timing that shape perception. The most dangerous mistake people make is believing that transparency is always virtuous. Machiavelli warned that too much honesty invites vulnerability. The key is not deception, it's discretion. You reveal what strengthens your image and conceal what weakens it. The world rewards mystery because mystery demands attention. Over time, your restraint becomes your reputation. The calm one, the unshaken one, the one who doesn't react to gossip, doesn't rush into conflict, doesn't explain themselves to noise. And that perception alone shifts power in your direction, because while everyone else is busy proving, you're simply becoming. The less you speak, the more weight your words carry when you finally do. That's how perception evolves into authority. Now I want to go even deeper into this idea, because once you learn to control perception, the game changes completely. You no longer chase validation or approval. You start shaping reality itself. And the same silence that once protected you becomes the force that commands the world's attention, without ever needing to ask for it. Comment below with the word power if this message resonates with how you're shaping your own presence. Pain has always been the most misunderstood form of energy. Most people run from it, drown in it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But Machiavelli, and later thinkers who studied the deeper layers of human psychology, understood something far more profound. Pain is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. Every emotional wound carries energy, and that energy is raw potential. The question is whether you let it consume you or convert it. That's the essence of emotional transmutation, the art of turning suffering into strength and heartbreak into fuel. Think about it. Every insult that ever cut you, every rejection that made you doubt yourself, every betrayal that shattered your trust, all of them contain emotional energy. That pain doesn't disappear, it just waits. It waits for direction. You can either allow it to corrode your spirit through resentment, or you can redirect it toward transformation. This is what separates the weak from the powerful. The weak react to pain. The powerful reshape it. They use it as the fire that forges clarity, discipline, and purpose. Machiavelli's dark psychology reveals that emotional pain is one of the most valuable tools for those who understand control. When you stop asking, "Why did they hurt me?" and start asking, "What can I build from this?" you shift from victim to strategist. You take your power back. Pain becomes no longer something that happens to you. It becomes something that works for you. That shift is the birth of inner sovereignty. The process begins with awareness. Pain wants expression, and if you don't channel it, it finds its own destructive outlet: anger, self-sabotage, apathy. But when you face it consciously, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see that what hurts you is also what shapes you. Emotional transmutation doesn't mean pretending you're fine. It means feeling fully without drowning. It means looking directly into the wound and extracting wisdom from it. The same emotion that once broke you can become the reason you rise higher than before. Every great transformation begins in discomfort. Look at history, at every powerful figure who changed the course of their world. Each one faced immense rejection and pain. But instead of collapsing, they redirected it. They turned humiliation into hunger, loneliness into discipline, doubt into relentless drive. That's the hidden truth of growth. No one builds strength in comfort. True mastery demands that you suffer consciously, using every ounce of pain as creative force. Dark psychology calls this alchemy of the mind. You take a base emotion, anger, grief, fear, and refine it until it becomes pure power. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Emotional energy can be redirected through focus and behavior. When you turn your pain into action, through building, training, creating, your brain literally rewires itself. What was once trauma becomes transformation. And here's where most people fail. They mistake numbness for healing, but numbness is just avoidance. It's stagnation disguised as peace. True healing is active. It's the art of using every emotional blow as momentum. The more you've been hurt, the more material you have to create. Something extraordinary. Pain, when used correctly, gives depth. It gives dimension. It gives the kind of strength that can't be faked because it was paid for in suffering. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when you finally master the art of emotional transmutation, something begins to shift in how the world responds to you. Your presence changes, your silence feels heavier, and what once broke you becomes the very thing that makes you untouchable. Comment below with the word transformation if you've ever felt that turning point, when pain stopped being punishment and started becoming power. To become emotionally untouchable is not about becoming numb, robotic, or detached from life. It's about building an inner foundation so stable that no one can shake it. Machiavelli believed that true strength was invisible. It wasn't in armies, wealth, or alliances. It was in the mind that could not be broken. The more you understand yourself, the less others can use you. That's why the first step toward becoming unbreakable is awareness. Awareness is the silent observer within you, the part that notices the emotion before it becomes action. Most people live as reactors, not thinkers. Something happens, they feel it, they explode. But awareness separates you from that pattern. It allows you to see the emotion forming before it takes control. Imagine anger rising, and instead of following it, you simply watch it. You name it. You recognize where it comes from. That moment of awareness is power, because it interrupts the cycle of emotional slavery. When you become conscious of your triggers, you become immune to manipulation. No one can push buttons that you've already learned to see. The second principle is pause, the art of stillness in the moment of chaos. The pause is where strength is born. Every manipulator, every aggressor, every provocateur depends on your reaction. They need your emotional energy to feed their control. But if you pause, they lose power instantly. Time becomes your shield. When you delay your reaction, emotions lose intensity and reason gains space. Machiavelli understood this better than most. The one who speaks first in anger always loses leverage. In silence, you reclaim your position. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're shaping your response to it. But awareness and pause mean nothing without reframing, the ability to change the meaning of the moment. Every emotional attack is a test disguised as, an insult. It's not meant to define you, it's meant to reveal you. When you reframe pain as an opportunity to strengthen your composure, you transform the dynamic. You no longer see yourself as the target, but as the observer of the test. This is what separates the emotionally strong from the fragile. They don't waste energy trying to control the world. They control their interpretation of it. That's how you bend reality in your favor. Reframing also destroys the ego's need to win every emotional battle. You realize that not every insult deserves your energy. Not every disagreement deserves your defense. You begin to understand that peace is not found in proving others wrong, but in mastering your own state. This is how leaders, philosophers, and great strategists operated through centuries of chaos, not by avoiding emotion, but by refining it into intelligence. When you integrate these three principles, awareness, pause, and reframing, emotional mastery stops being something you practice and becomes who you are. You start to notice that manipulation no longer lands, that insults no longer sting, that people's chaos no longer pulls you in. You've built a mind like steel, flexible under heat, but never broken. And the beauty of this transformation is subtle. You won't need to announce it. People will simply feel it. They'll sense the shift in how you carry yourself. Calm, deliberate, unreadable. You'll find that silence begins to speak louder than your words ever could. That's when you know you've become emotionally untouchable, when peace is your natural state and reaction is your choice, not your habit. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when emotional mastery becomes second nature, something far more profound begins to unfold, a transformation of perception, influence, and the quiet power that makes others feel your presence long before you speak. Comment below with the word unbreakable if you're on this path toward emotional sovereignty. To reach the state Machiavelli described, the mindset of iron, is to enter a realm where emotion no longer rules but serves. It's not about erasing your humanity, but reclaiming ownership over it. You still feel love, anger, sadness, and fear, but instead of those emotions driving you blindly, you command them like loyal soldiers. This is the essence of sovereignty, being the ruler of your inner kingdom. Because in truth, if you can't control your own mind, someone else will. Machiavelli's dark psychology was never meant to turn people into manipulators. It was meant to awaken awareness. He saw clearly that those who cannot command themselves are destined to be commanded by others. When you master your emotions, you stop dancing to invisible strings. You no longer chase approval or validation. You no longer crumble when criticized or rejected. Instead, you move with quiet confidence, not because the world is kind, but because you've learned how to be, unshaken by its cruelty. That's the paradox of strength. It's not the absence of feeling, but the control of it. This is what it means to be a lion with the mind of a fox, fierce when necessary, yet strategic always. The lion represents raw power. The fox represents cunning intelligence. Combined, they form the Machiavellian ideal. Emotional mastery fused with calculated action. Most people are only one or the other. Strong but impulsive, or clever but fearful. To embody both is to become something rare, something untouchable. When you walk through life with this mindset, people sense it instantly. They can't quite explain why your presence feels different, grounded, calm, slightly unpredictable. That's because true power radiates from within. It's not projected through volume or arrogance, but through certainty. You stop reacting to the noise, and the noise begins to quiet around you. People's opinions lose weight. Their attempts to provoke you fall flat. Their judgments no longer reach the core of who you are, because that core has become fortified, an iron fortress built through pain, awareness, and practice. This kind of inner sovereignty changes everything. How you lead, how you love, how you move through chaos. It's the difference between the person who is tossed by life and the one who steers through it. And the truth is, the world doesn't need more people who react. It needs people who respond. It needs minds capable of silence when others shout, of vision when others panic. That's the Machiavellian mindset of iron, not a mind that feels nothing, but one that feels everything and still remains unmoved. Because in the end, the greatest victory you'll ever achieve won't be over others. It will be over yourself. When you reach that level of control, you don't just survive the storms, you start to command them. You become the calm in every chaos, the reason others look for stability when the world begins to crumble. That's what true power feels like. Not domination, but dominion over self. If you're ready to stop being ruled by your emotions and start ruling your own mind, comment power below. And if you want more dark psychological lessons like this, subscribe and turn on notifications, because mastery begins in the shadows. If you made it all the way here, it probably means this message spoke to something real inside you. Maybe it reminded you of moments when you lost control, or maybe it showed you a new way to see power, the quiet, kind, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. If it did, I'd love to know. Leave a comment below and write, "I'm in until the end." It lets me know you're part of this journey, one of those few who seek to understand the deeper layers of strength and mind. And if this conversation helped you see things differently, give this video a like. It helps the channel grow, but more than that, it tells me that what we're building here matters, that these lessons on control, strategy, and inner power are finding the right people at the right time. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect moment. Every week we go deeper into the psychology of power, human behavior, and emotional mastery, not to escape the world, but to rise above it. I want you to be part of that. There's another video right here that continues this path. It connects perfectly with what we just explored. Click and keep going with me there.